Hey y'all, this is me. I had to have my wisdom teeth pulled, so that's why I haven't had a video. I've actually had all of my wisdom teeth pulled over the course of the last two and a half weeks. And yes, my hair is loose. It's out. As I said in another video, sorry, I'm trying to get the light. I am natural. My hair is a lot longer than what it looks like. As you can see, it does go, if it's stretched, it goes down past my shoulders, but it shrinks. So all y'all natural girls know. If you have my texture, then you know about shrinkage. But this video today, I want to talk about relationships, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I feel like I have good relationship advice. A lot of my friends come to me asking me questions about things. Because I feel like I give good advice. As far as relationships, I feel like I give good advice on relationships because I have been in bad relationships. And I am married, happily married, and I'm in a great, beautiful relationship. So I've been on both sides. Now, the bad relationship. If you go back and watch my first video, it explains, that I am married to my childhood best friend, child and adult best friend. So that's all that. So I'm not going to get into that. But as far as the bad relationship, I had my first boyfriend when I was 17. It was a somewhat manipulative relationship, kind of, because he was a couple of years older than me. And I did a lot for him. He would always ask me for gas money or something like that. I was always constantly giving him something. Now, when I was 18, I got into an abusive relationship. It was abusive in the emotional sense, not necessarily physical. Now, I think like the only thing he ever did as far as physical was like grab my arm or like snatched me. But he never like punched, like just straight out punched me or slapped me, something like that. But it was still abusive because it was very emotional. It was terrible. Now, I feel like I stayed in the relationship because I felt like maybe it would get better. I felt like if I had the mentality of, well, if I don't do this or if I don't do that, if I pretty much just walk on pins and needles, maybe, he won't be mad at me or something like that. So, but of course, that's not really the case. And, until the person deals with whatever they're dealing with, they're not going to stop the abuse. Now, I'm not ashamed of it because I feel like it made me the person that I am because, like I said, I was 18 when we met. I was 18 and we were together for like two and a half years off and on. And basically, once it was just completely over with us. Once, it was like, okay, it's over. I told myself I would never be in that kind of relationship again, and I have never been in a relationship. I told myself that I'm not gonna, be with somebody that talks to me any kind of way, belittles me, because I feel like, okay, well, if I'm so this or I'm so that, then why are you with me? But it took me time to actually realize that. Now, I knew when I was 18, I knew that it wasn't a good relationship. But it was like I couldn't admit that to myself. But I knew it. I knew it, but I just couldn't admit it to myself. Like, it was like, oh, well, it's a bad relationship, but at least I'm in a relationship. Now, I feel like a lot of women have that problem. They'll rather be with a piece of man, be it if this man is physically abusing them, emotionally abusing them, cheating on them, what case, married, whatever. They'll rather be in that than to be by themselves. And I personally feel like every woman or man, I feel like every person deserves that one person that's really truly meant for them. And I feel like sometimes in order for us to get to that person, there are certain things that we need to do, and I feel like everything that I went through was preparing me, the 18-year-old me for years later when, me and my best friend decided, okay, we're going to try to see if, what happens if we get in a relationship. When the relationship that I was in ended, I was by myself. I made a decision to be single and celibate for over a year. I made that decision because I felt like, I just needed time. Because the breakup really hurt me. Even though it wasn't a good relationship, it still hurt me a lot. And after a year, I decided, okay, well, I can have a friend. Nothing serious. Eventually, I went back to being celibate and single. No friends, no nothing. Eventually, I did it for another year. Which I know to some people, they're like, oh, how can you do that? Celibacy is something that can be one of the most therapeutic things you can ever do for yourself. Because when you take out physical, when you take out a physical, attraction between two people and all you have is an emotional attraction, that's how you can really see if this is a person that you really want to be with. Because some people, you can be physically attracted, but that's it. Y'all have nothing else. Now, my journey started when I was 18. Unfortunately, I know some women who are 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, who still have not learned some of the things that I learned years ago. Because I know women who would rather be with somebody that clearly is not good for them. They'll rather just be with a piece. I call it a piece of a man than be by themselves. And I think that's the saddest thing ever, because if a man knows that you are, honestly, just being honest, you desperate, you willing to put up with, whatever he willing to dish out. If he knows that you're willing to put up with it, he gonna keep doing it, and it's not gonna be good. I know someone who dedicated years, years of their life to a person, and then all of a sudden it was over. But there were signs throughout those years that wasn't the person that they were supposed to be with anyways. But they just didn't want to admit it to themselves. They didn't, even though the signs were there. I feel like sometimes, don't get me wrong, okay, when you're like, I'll say when you're young, 21, 22, you may be fine with having just a friend. That this is not somebody you want to marry. So, and you're perfectly fine with that. But I feel like as you get older, you start to want more out of relationships. And I feel like sometimes you have to be willing to say, okay, hey, this is not what I want. I'm not getting anything really out of this relationship. So I'm going to make the decision to be by myself rather than be in this relationship where it's emotionally draining. Or you may have a relationship where it's abusive. You may have a relationship where the person cheats on you constantly. At some point, I feel like at some point you need to look at it and say, okay, well, is this really worth it? And I don't have any children. My husband does not have any children. But I'm not one of those people who says, oh, well, if you have kids with someone, you have to stay, you have to make it work. No, you don't. Because honestly, how fair is it for kids to be brought up in an environment where, if it's an environment where the parents are just constantly fighting? Can't even, say hey to each other for cussing each other out. You know, why should you subject your kids to that? Or if it's, you know, it's a lot of physical abuse. Because I know someone who, you know, it was physical abuse on the part of the adult, you know, the man. He was physically abusive to the woman, and then eventually it trickled down to where he was pretty much physically abusive to the kids. I mean, why would you put your kids through that? I mean, I understand that, you know, times are hard, and sometimes we can say, well, I'd rather be with him because, you know, we split these bills or whatever. Okay, if you feel like you can't make it on your own, have an understanding, like, hey, we're not together, we just roommates or something. But if you know, like, be honest with yourself. Like, above all else, be honest with yourself. If you know that the relationship you're in is just bad and it's not going anywhere, and like I look at it like this: if you can honestly look at the relationship and say, okay, do I see myself 5 years from now married to this person? Or maybe you don't want to be married. Do I see myself, is this person a good candidate to be a mother or a father or a stepmother, stepfather, what the case, to my child? If you can't say yes, then you need to look at that and re-examine and say, okay, well, hey, is this something that I'm willing to deal with? Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, everybody can't be by themselves. Some women and men feel like, well, I don't care, cheat on me, beat on me, it doesn't matter, I'm going to stay because I want to be by myself. Okay, well, if that's the case, if you really, really in your heart feel like you do not care what this person does, then let it be that, you know, because I know people who, you know, who will complain about the relationship, but really, why are you complaining? Because it's been bad and you haven't left yet, and you're never going to leave. I mean, you're not really going to leave because you're more than willing to put up with it just so you can be with somebody. So don't complain about it, you know. I mean, I know the video is kind of all over the place, but message honestly is, sometimes it's better to be by yourself. It's more healthy. You learn a lot. Honestly, you learn a lot about yourself. For me, I learned a lot about myself when I was just completely single, celibate. I read, because I love to read. I read different books. And I enjoyed myself. I did. I mean, I was in college, but I mean, I had a nightlife. I lived, I was with the college, nightlife. I went out, I partied, I clubbed, and I would go home by myself. Never took anyone home or nothing like that. Because like I said, I was celibate for actually 2 years. So clearly I wasn't doing anything like that, but I enjoyed myself. That's another thing, like, me and my husband both say, when he was in college, because he went to college away from our home. I went to our home city college. It's university, but I went to our hometown university, and he went away. We both still, we were just friends then, but we enjoyed ourselves. I don't have no regrets. Like right now, I don't have to go to the club every week. I don't have to do that. I don't have to, I have to go to the club. I have to, because when there was my age appropriate time, 19 to 25, 26, I did it. I did it. I enjoyed myself. I partied. We would always go, a group of girls. We all go to the club together. We leave the club together. That was our number one rule. Nope, we go together, we leave together. We never break up the group. We enjoyed ourselves. Trips, taking trips with friends, going down to different, Greek, fraternity type events and things like that. And we had fun. I enjoyed myself. And sometimes it takes you being by yourself to do that. But as always, thank you for watching. If you like it, subscribe.